Welcome to Unleashed. And don't forget to join us on Patreon for early access and exclusive content. Here are the guys.
This is Unleashed. I'm James Rosili, and this is...
Christine.
Ooh, very special guest joining me here. Thanks for joining me on Unleashed at the Scum podcast.
Thanks for having me.
Well, I couldn't not have you because there's a trailer that came out like a month ago, and I really enjoyed this trailer. But then you kind of wanted to ruin my fun with that. and you actually tweeted out something, I'm not going to say controversial because you're not the only one to feel this way, obviously. But I think you felt it was a little bit controversial when you did it because I think your tweet was, "Don't hate me." But why don't you tell everybody what that was so that we can all boo you? I'm just so I actually tell everybody what the tweet was, and then we'll go into it from there.
Okay. I will talk about it generally while I bring up my tweet that I did. But yeah, so obviously we're talking about the latest Rise of Skywalker trailer that came out.
Yes.
I was really excited to see it. You know, like it was obviously, as I said, I think I said in the tweet, I love Star Wars. I have for pretty much ever, and I think at the end of The Last Jedi, I was really keen to see like what's gonna happen now. Yeah. So basically, I said in this tweet, I have it now, so I can stop waffling. I did say before someone kills me, so I'm gonna put that disclaimer in here. So I still love Star Wars. This does not negate that at all. But I did say post-trailer, I'm not sure how optimistic I am for Rise of Skywalker. Don't at me. But so anyway, I don't know if people will at me or not. I don't think very many people did. But I think after seeing the trailer, I really am not sure how I feel. I think it was a good trailer in the sense that like it was really well shot. Like the music was great. I think we talked in another Unleashed about kind of like the remix of the sort of Star Wars theme that John Williams has done with that, and that got me really pumped. You know, like how can John Williams not get you pumped? I thought it was really well shot. I thought a lot of the scenes were really cool. A lot of the settings seemed quite interesting as well. I loved the kind of shots of all the sort of spaceships that we've seen in Star Wars kind of coming together for that final stand. So there were some individual shots that I appreciated. But I think the thing that's concerning me is I don't know any more about where this might go after The Last Jedi. And so it's really difficult for me to be excited because I'm not sure if I'm going to actually like it or not. I don't think it alleviated some of the concerns I had after The Last Jedi. So like some of the questions I have of, you know, like, is this going to kind of continue that classic good and evil saga, which I really like about Star Wars? We had a lot of ambiguity in the trailer about like who's facing off what, and I think we've had some in sort of some of the TV spots an example previously with like Dark Rey and, you know, all the speculation of is that real, is that vision, who knows, you know, is she going to go to the dark side for a while and come back, or is she going to redeem Kylo? And I think it just added more questions and more possibilities and more concerns about where I'm worried it might go. I will preface this also by saying that a lot of this is personal preference. Like, you know, I feel like, and I think that's where a lot of the Star Wars discussion is happening now, is like it's ultimately come down to like what we all want to happen in the Rise of Skywalker or Rise of Skywalker, whatever it's called. I think for me, my personal preference, which is I don't want to say very controversial, but I think contrary to what I might see on some of sort of social media in general, is not necessarily one I wanted to see happen. And some of the scenes made me worry that it might go in the direction I don't want it to go.
Wait, can I ask you, what direction is that?
Yeah. So I guess, okay. So if I'm going to be very straightforward, what I want to happen in Rise of Skywalker is kind of a Return of the Jedi type scenario in terms of like the ultimate bad guy, the ultimate evil being defeated. And yes, there is sacrifice along the way and hopefully some redemption, but I kind of want all people to die. And for me, this is probably one of the more controversial things I'm going to say. That includes Kylo Ren. I've been seeing a lot of stuff on social media, Twitter in particular, about people kind of him wanting to be redeemed and kind of living to kind of start this new, whatever is going to happen, this new future with Rey, whether that's romantically or not, but kind of some new future. I think I did tweet another one after I saw the trailer where I was like, I want Kylo Ren to die. So that to me is quite big. And I'm not sure I want him to be redeemed, as in going totally good and then kind of living in sort of the climax to fight with the light side. And I think some of the trailer shots, so like I'm thinking especially the one where he and Rey seem to be destroying the shrine of Darth Vader together, I guess. That makes me concerned that they are fighting together somehow. Again, this is all personal preference, but...
Well, J.J. Abrams did say at Star Wars Celebration, he said that it was these two sides coming together to fight an ultimate threat or evil or something, to paraphrase what he said. So he did pretty much let the cat out of the bag in April that they were going to fight side by side. But they did fight side by side in The Last Jedi as well against the Praetorian Guards.
Exactly. So I suppose part of it is how can they can't do the Praetorian Guard again, really.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know that they can repeat that, because he does, maybe in this case, you know, I could see realistically what's happening is he realizes that the Emperor, because we know that GVP is coming back, obviously, and could easily see Kylo realizing that, like, being actually a lot more weighty than what he thought it might have been, and kind of changing his mind in the face of that, saying, like, if that's what it really is to be the dark side, he doesn't want any part of that. So realistically, I kind of know that probably he is going to see the light, both literally and metaphorically, and maybe join the light side to some extent, but I don't know that I want that. So again, it is 100% personal preference, but that is one thing. And I guess also it'll depend on, I guess we have seen, like, also in the trailer a couple of different confrontations. I don't know what your opinions are, because we did see in the trailer like a few different face-offs with Rey and Kylo. So, you know, we've got the one where they seem to be in the Millennium Falcon, like, inside, and then I guess on the wreckage of the Death Star, maybe, and then obviously them fighting together. I don't know what you think, like, the significance of all of them might be if you were to speculate.
Well, I've stopped doing with the leaks and the spoilers and all that stuff now, but back in the summer, I was paying attention. There was so spoilers. I don't know if this is real or not, but they were saying there's force jumping or something happening, so they would hit their lightsabers and it'd be like Force Skype, but the background would change, essentially. They'd be transported all over the Star Wars universe. So it could be something as easy as that. And that could be one massive fight that we're seeing in the trailer, but it looks like it's several. Daisy really did say that the lightsaber duel in this is going to be like the most impressive thing we've seen. Who knows? We heard for months about how Ewan McGregor and Hayden Christensen were, you know, doing like sword fighting skills and all, and like gymnastics and all that stuff. We haven't heard anything about Daisy Ridley or Adam Driver doing that. So who knows how intense or it's going to be. It could just be the background changes. I don't know. I'm very much on the fence in regards to Kylo Ren, Adam Driver getting redeemed. I know there's a lot of parents, especially out there, that said they really want him to be redeemed because of, you know, if that was their child, that's what they would want. Fair enough. So there's that perspective on it. But for me, you mentioned the Return of the Jedi, and I look at it and I go, well, and I want an element of Return of the Jedi as well. but I also feel like I've seen Return of the Jedi, and Force Awakens is very similar to A New Hope, and The Last Jedi is very similar to Empire Strikes Back, but in reverse. They're all very similar like that. So I'm kind of like, can we get, at this point now where can we get something a little bit new? And I think we have to, because obviously the last movie doesn't end with Finn frozen in carbonite, so they have to rescue him. So we're going to get something different. But in regards of redemption, again, my other thing with the Kylo redemption that turns me off of it is I've seen that with Anakin. So what's going to be the difference between Kylo and Anakin? The way that they'll grab me on board is if that is the path of the chosen one, if that's what is the will of the Force, if that's how that works out, is just because they need Kylo Ren to face Palpatine. Because maybe, the other thing is Kylo Ren, maybe he's not the bad guy. Maybe he's never been the bad guy. He just thought he was a bad guy. And we're learning in this new comic book coming out that the only person he could trust was Snoke. Mm-hmm. So maybe he's not actually bad. He just thinks he has to be that way because Snoke told him a lie and he believed that lie until now. So, I don't know. So for me, there's pros and cons to him being redeemed. But I think you're absolutely right. I think they're going down that path of redemption for him. For better or worse. My hope, and I'm someone who actually, like I said off the top, I liked this trailer. I really enjoyed it. I do agree with you, though. Don't know what the movie's about. I have no idea what it's about.
Yeah.
Have you read any of the leaks?
I've tried not to. I think, like you, I don't want to go into it with a preconceived idea of what it might be.
Yeah.
And I think also it's hard because some of the leaks are very clearly not true because they're coming from the kind of dubious sources, so that sort of thing. And I think when I say I don't know what's going to happen, I think in some ways that's actually a really good thing.
Yes.
And I think, for example, I'm a big Marvel fan as well, and I think about when they kind of had the time between Infinity War and Endgame, and when the trailers for Endgame came out, I didn't know what was going to happen in the movie, as in, I didn't know how the situation from Infinity War was going to be resolved exactly.
Mm-hmm.
But I had some idea of kind of, what the stakes were, and I think the kind of, the trailer itself hinted enough that the Avengers are going to kind of come together to resolve this situation somehow. I guess there was, everyone kind of guessed, and there were leaks that pretty much said in that it would be time travel, but everyone kind of knew that or had speculated that. And I guess I don't really want to know what exactly is going to happen, but I at least want to have some indication of, how can I put this? Some indication of where the story is going now. Maybe some indication as to what the next step is. I think we know that there's going to be a final battle or battles, and the trailer, that's what the trailer showed. it showed us the stuff that we already kind of know is going to happen in a last saga movie, which is there's going to be a big show, a big showdown. And I'm well, yeah, obviously, it's the end of the Skywalker saga. But could you maybe give me a little hint as to how that's going to kick off? And I think about the Endgame trailer, and there were trailers, and it did that without giving away exactly what the plot resolution was. But I kind of knew generally this idea of how it was going to start to come together. And so, yeah, I don't want the whole thing to be spoiled for me, but I did want a little bit more something aside from, well, there's a giant battle, everyone's going to come together. Yeah, I already knew that. And so I think it's just more, I wanted to see a little bit more that I didn't already know. And it didn't have to be a lot, but yeah.
It was very much just throwing candy at you, basically. They're like, oh, you love Skittles, take those Skittles. You want Jim Jim's, take it. Here's some peanuts. Here's some, just and it was eye candy, and it was great, and I very much enjoyed it. But you're right. I don't know what this movie's about, and I think I don't know, but I don't want to put words in your mouth. But I think when you come out of The Last Jedi, for me anyway, it was, well, what's the next one about? What's it about? Mm-hmm. And when you have that question and you watch a trailer, and the trailer for the next one doesn't not that it has to answer it there, but it doesn't even look like it connects so much to The Last Jedi. It's like, well, what does this have to do with what I just saw? That's where you question it. So I think little pieces, like why is 3PO saying goodbye? I'm sure they could tell us a hint of why he's saying goodbye, like what's going on in that moment. And I'm sure that moment plays out into the overall plot. I mean, I hope so. I hope it's just not a throwaway scene where he's like, guys, I'm good. I'm just going to shut down now for good. Like, I hope it plays into it.
Retiring.
Yeah. And one thing that really, really threw me off with that trailer, too, was Zori Bliss. They had Entertainment Weekly posted a picture of Zori Bliss holding this like coin, which people are speculating is from the back of 3PO's head, which it could be. But she's holding this. Actually, you know what? It's not from the back of his head. I bet you they take the one out of the back of his head and put that one into the back of his head. That's what I'm thinking. I just thought. Anyway, so anyway, and I was like, oh, I think, and we did a Never Tell Me the Odds on the live stream that day, and I said the odds of Zori Bliss talking, because I thought they would put some emphasis on her. There was more emphasis on Babu Frick than on Zori Bliss. She's in a shot, but on the side, and you're like, but she's cool looking. First of all, an average fan wouldn't even know that she's a she. Like, so, you don't know, they wouldn't know that's Carrie Russell in there unless, they read the Vanity Fair, which I doubt many people did that aren't Star Wars fans. Yeah. So I thought we were getting something like that. Like, show me this character. And, like, her toy has double guns. Like, she's holding two guns out like that. Like okay, that's badass. Show me that. Just put that in there. But, like, there's no explanation as to who she is. Just
give
throw
me
away.
a little more like that.
Yeah, give me some of that stuff. At the same time, though, I'm kind of, like, we got Darth Ray. I think the problem was the D23 trailer gave us Dark Ray. That was a problem. They put their money shot in the middle one. Like the first shot with Ray jumping over the TIE fighter, brilliant opening. Like, I think that's fantastic.
That was great.
Yeah, because you're like, awesome. Then the middle one, you could do the 3PO goodbye. And the last one, you throw in Dark Ray, and we're all just like, but we've already seen that. So we already got, we already got the big oomph moment. Again, for me, though, that didn't affect my viewing of it. But also, I don't hate Star Wars like you. Just joking.
True. I mean, I obviously, because I have criticisms, I hate everything about it. So, fire Kathleen Kennedy, fire everybody.
God. No, I think, but the thing is, it's okay to not like the trailer, or it's not even that you didn't like it. It wasn't, well, I don't know. You might not have liked it, but it wasn't what you were hoping for, because you're hoping, if you're paying, I don't know how much it is to see a movie where you are, but for me, it's $9 million. If you're paying a lot of money to see a movie, then you're going to get popcorn and a drink and all that, so whatever you get in the theater, at least tell me what I'm walking into.
Yeah.
So that I do agree with you on.
Remind me what the stakes are. I think in like a follow-up film.
Great.
I think I'm not sure what this, and maybe part of my concern in that it didn't tell me anything, because usually I'm kind of okay with the trailer not telling me too much, because you don't want to go into it and like know what the story is. But I think in this case, so I'm gonna get another 1,000 people to stop following you. But I also was kind of on the fence about The Last Jedi, and like it definitely was not. It's pretty low on my list of like Star Wars films that I've seen.
Well, you're not the only one.
Yeah. And so I think as someone who came from that perspective, where I was like, well, I don't know what's going to happen now, because everything that I thought, a lot of things that I thought were kind of quintessential Star Wars have basically been like, Rian Johnson was like, no. So I think J.J. Abrams has a huge task, because I think his vision, I'm sure his vision was very different from, like Rian Johnson had to make so many sort of 180s from J.J. Abrams' film, from The Force Awakens. And so I wonder if J.J. Abrams is kind of like at a loss, like, oh no, now I have to kind of reconcile this vision that was not mine in The Last Jedi with what I kind of wanted to happen, like overarching, like his overall vision, and how do you bring the two together, and how do you do it successfully? And so I kind of, I guess the fact that like the trailer, as you said, seemed very like disconnected from The Last Jedi makes me a little bit concerned, like, uh-oh, are we going to have more 180s that I'm not sure work in the grand scheme of things. I keep hating to connect it to Marvel, and maybe this is something that, like, when you talk about the future of Star Wars, is something to discuss. And I know you guys have talked a little bit about it a little bit, but because you don't have the Kevin Feige, it you do kind of notice that, and so I think I'm just managing my expectations because I'm not really sure how you go from a J.J. Abrams film to a Rian Johnson film back to a J.J. Abrams film successfully, and the trailer, because it was so disconnected, didn't really give me any hint like, oh, there's this one scene that gives me a little bit of hope of how it might tie together. So I think I'm very much just like I guess I'll just have to see when I go into the cinema. I'll totally go watch it. Like, how could I not, Yeah, but I think, and it was interesting when you're talking about all the different trailers, like I was thinking back to my reactions when I watched all the trailers, and I remember watching the first one where Rey does her flip at a friend's house and being like, oh my gosh, the trailer's released at like whatever PM, we have to watch it right now, and watching it, and then freaking out and being like, oh my gosh. And then we had the sort of D23 trailer, the TV spots come out, and I was a little bit like, oh yeah, those came out. Like, I'll watch those. And then, people were like speculating about when this final trailer was coming out, and I think my reaction was very much like, well, I'll see it when it comes out, I guess. And then I noticed like a couple of days later, I was like, oh yeah, it's out now. So I guess I'll watch it. So yeah. So again, and I think it's kind of like, as someone who hates Star Wars, obviously.
Yep.
Like,
that's why you're here.
But I think it's actually because I love Star Wars so much that that's why you do have those concerns, because you as we've talked about so much, and I think that's why everybody has these concerns and these speculations, whichever way you want to go, is because it is something that you really like, and you don't want to see it become something that you're like, that you feel disconnected from, or feel like it's a lesser quality than the amazing things that you've kind of grown up with. I am hopeful that, like, maybe even if these films are great, they could be our prequels for like this generation. Yeah. Like, we look back on the prequels and like, yeah, a lot of people were disappointed when they came out because they weren't what they expected. But now 20 years later, we're like, yeah, like there were some things that I'm not sure about, and there's maybe some directions I wouldn't have liked personally, but you still look on them with fondness, and you're like, actually, it's sometimes those things that you don't love that make it so fun to watch. So maybe it will be that with these, but I don't know.
It's interesting that you bring up the prequels, because I think part of the thing that turned a lot of the original fans off of the prequels was that it felt disconnected from the original trilogy, the prequels. And now I think the thing that's turning a lot of people off from the sequels is that it feels disconnected from the prequels and the originals. I mean, it has a connection with the originals, but it still has that disconnect, and it doesn't have the Luke that everybody wants and all of that. But at the same time, the prequels brought in a slew of new fans, and the sequel trilogy is also bringing in its fair share of brand new fans who never saw Star Wars before and probably wouldn't have even cared to see Star Wars if it wasn't for The Force Awakens. So I think you're right. I think that's going to be the case. And look, if people are watching this and they're mad at you, the reality is it's cool to love the sequel trilogy the most, and it's cool to not like it the most. I mean, it is, like you said, it's a personal preference. It's the way everybody feels about it. You go in with an expectation, you come out with another one, and hopefully it might not be this movie that does it. It might be something else, but hopefully at the end of it all, we understand what the point was, and in 10, 20, 30 years, we all love these movies.
And it comes down to like personal choices. Like, for example, I love The Phantom Menace. Like, and I would go to people and they're like, objectively, that film is not the best film ever made. And I'm like, you know what? You're totally right, but there are parts of it that I love watching, and so I enjoy the fun of watching it, and I laugh at the parts that I'm like, oh yeah, like the CGI isn't great there, the direction's not great there, but here comes the pod race, and I love that, and here's the duel between Qui-Gon and Obi-Wan and Darth Maul, and I don't really see how. I think Dave Ridley and Adam Driver have a lot to live up to if they think that their lightsaber duel is going to be the best thing ever. But like, I can watch that, and there can be a Star Wars fan who loves The Last Jedi. And I guess one of the great things about a universe like this is you don't have to, so you don't have to watch the prequel. No one's going to force you, and you could still enjoy the original trilogy and enjoy the sequel and not miss out like something super crucial, so I could choose not to spend my time with Last Jedi but watch the Phantom, or if the new film comes out, maybe I'll actually love it and someone else doesn't, but that doesn't mean there aren't so many other elements of Star Wars that you can enjoy. It's not one of those universes, like, for example, another one I really like is Lord of the Rings. And I think with Lord of the Rings, like, you kind of have to read everything in it to really get it. And Star Wars, yeah, it's great if you do love it all, and it really, like, it really does expand a lot of stuff for you if you do choose to absorb everything. But it's not like you're going to completely miss a crucial storyline if you watch The Last Jedi but you don't watch The Phantom Menace again. So, and that's one of the things I think I like about the universe is you can dip in as much or as little as you want.
Yeah, they're like 3 individual trilogies all in the same universe. Yeah. And that's, and I always say, there are fans of the original trilogy, prequels, sequels, novels, video games, etc., etc. Mm-hmm. And, a fan is a fan. It doesn't matter what you're the fan of. It's the same universe, so let's all love it. Where do you think Star Wars is going to go? I got to ask you this before we wrap it all up. But the Skywalker saga is ending. Benioff and Weiss are done. They were going to do the origins of the Jedi, apparently. So everything that you've seen now from Star Wars, I just want to know your opinions because you're very harsh. I want to know your opinions on where you think the future of Star Wars lies. Are we going back to, are they still going to continue doing the origins of the Jedi or Knights of the Old Republic? What do you see happening in Star Wars land in 2022 or whenever the next movie is?
I think that both of those things, I think we could go forwards or way back. And I think part of it might actually depend on how well The Rise of Skywalker does. Because again, like Last Jedi, it did really well, but, there was a lot of divisive opinion about it. I think it might depend on fan reaction to Rise of Skywalker, because it might be that at the end of this, it's wrapped up. Like, we know it's the end of the Skywalker saga, but are there going to be characters in it who, at the end of it, we really want to know what happens to them in future? Are they going to leave it open enough? Like, are they going to close it, but maybe leave it open enough that if they wanted to, they could continue with, let's say, I don't know, Rey's story or Finn's story or Poe's story. I don't know, like the New Republic or whatever. I don't know. So I think it might depend on what they feel. So again, because I'm a harsh critic, and I'm a realistic person, I think a lot of it just might depend on what Disney feels will give them the most profit. Will they listen to fans? And I think they will, and they will kind of be do people want to see it going forward? Or are they going to be yeah, I'm done with this storyline. Now I want to see a Knights of the Old Republic.
I think personally they're going Knights of the Old Republic. I think that was hinted at, and I think Benioff and Weiss weren't doing that. They're going to do something different.
I would love that,
yeah, I think there's a bit of a clash there, and then obviously their Netflix deal kind of pushed them out. I think they're going that direction. I think they're going to rewind the clocks back, and then when the dust has settled and it's all cleared, I think what we'll see is something that it won't be the Skywalker saga, but it'll take place after what we've just seen. How far afterwards, I don't know. But there'll be a new threat. It'll be World War III or something. I guess in that universe, you have the Clone Wars, and you have the original trilogy, Rebellion War, and then the sequel trilogy War, and Galaxy War 4 is what we'll be getting. And there'll be something like that where it's back. But I'm really excited for the future of Star Wars. Mostly because I don't know what to expect. When Revenge of the Sith was done, we're okay, it's over. And if we get another one, it'll be episode 7. You knew it was going to be episode 7. It was going to take place after all this. Now that it's over, and we're okay, And they're like, no more spin-off movies. Okay, so what are we getting? We don't know. We have dates. We have dates for releases, but we don't have anything to go side by side with them. So I'm really curious.
I'm curious as well. And I think, again, like, I wonder, like, after this, whether they will learn from what they've, like, kind of take experience of what they've done. I wonder, like, in terms of just production direction, like, will they finally get their Kevin Feige for Disney? Like, I wonder if this trilogy was almost them, like, testing the waters and seeing, like, how are we going to do with this stuff? And if they really do have long-term plans now that they've kind of wrapped up this and can kind of go out on their own and finish up whatever or start whatever storyline, I'd be curious to see if they're going to start making kind of production decisions to kind of get that overall vision now that they've kind of wrapped up what they kind of inherited from the Skywalker saga. I think that'd be really great. I think you're right. Like, I know we have release dates, but we don't know what they are, which again is very different from Disney Marvel, where like we know the next 10 Marvel movies that are going to be released because they planned it out. I would love to see a plan, and I think obviously I'm going to always go see a Star Wars film, but a plan would be great. Not just so I know what to expect, but, you know, like, to really start getting that hype up. And then if I know it's going to be a Knights of the Old Republic thing next, and as a fan, I can be like, okay, like, let me read up on my sort of Knights of the Old Republic comic, an extended universe, and get ready for that. So when the films come out, like, I'm pumped. And, you know, or if it's going to be in the future, like, you know, start getting the follow-up comics or whatever that they can release around this. Or I personally would love to see a Thrawn movie, but I know that's not going to happen. That's wishful thinking on my part. I think that'd be quite cool. Like, if they did like a sort of standalone movie of like a dark side person, like Thrawn or Tarkin or something, that's a standalone movie that I would go see. But again, we don't know.
No, that sounds like something they would throw on Disney Plus now, which you're not going to be getting.
Probably. Anyway, the Disney Plus, we're running that for another 10 years or whatever it is. I don't know over here. You know, I realize that, like, you have a lot that America has a lot to hold against because of, like, us ruling them for a while. I really think that this is a very extreme way of rubbing it in our face that we lost the Revolutionary War. Yeah.
Did we tell everybody where you were coming from?
Oh, I don't know. Yeah, so I don't think so. So I currently live in London, and we have been told very nicely that we're not getting Disney Plus until 2020. When in 2020, we have no idea. And I think it is, we have kind of been looking like at news here, and I think kind of UK fans have seen that Disney already has some deals with like one of our sort of cinema packages over here. So we have this thing that's like Sky Cinema, which is a streaming sort of network service, and they currently have a lot of Disney films.
Oh, okay.
I think they include all the Star Wars films actually.
Wow.
And their contract with that is not until sometime in 2020. So it's probably to do with that. But I will definitely obviously not be illegally streaming The Mandalorian when that comes out because I follow the law.
Well, hopefully they find a way to get that over there, because it's, you know, the thing with Star Wars and all nerd stuff is the spoilers. It's going to be spoiler heavy. The minute it's released, I'm worried that it's going to be released and I'm going to be at work. I'm going to hope from work and I'm going to hear what happened before I even have a chance to watch it that day. You know what? Like, it's going to be everywhere. It's going to be impossible to avoid it. So I really hope they do have a way for all of you to watch at least just The Mandalorian. If not The Mandalorian, then Lady and the Tramp.
Yeah, my favorite Disney movie. That's what I really wanted from all of this. It was live action Lady and the Tramp. I think I've heard rumors that maybe they'll make Mandalorian available on our Amazon streaming service.
Okay.
So maybe, whether that's going to be free or not, or whether it's going to be something we have to buy, probably it will be something we have to buy if they do have it there. But it'd be something that I probably would at least it would give me a chance to see it. You know,
Yeah. No illegal streaming, please.
never.
All right, we're gonna wrap it up. Any last minute thoughts? Any last second thoughts you want to say regarding the trailer or the future of Star Wars?
I don't think so. You know what? We're all gonna go see it. We're all, regardless of all the things we've been saying, we're all gonna go see it. We're all gonna have fun while we're watching it. I will only get up and leave the theater furiously if Rey and Kylo kiss.
Well, that's the only thing I want to see in the
Other
movie.
than that, I'll stay. Well, then we better not go to the same theater because I'll throw my popcorn on you as I'm storming.
I'll leave with a black eye. Why don't you tell everybody where they can follow you at and see all of your nasty tweets regarding Star Wars?
Yeah, if you want to join in my anger towards Star Wars, you can follow me on Twitter at the Art of Nerd 1 is my Twitter handle. So come on, at me, follow me, then unfollow me to show me your rage. I welcome it all.
Just don't agree with anything she tweets. That's all you have to
Yeah.
do. Well, thanks so much for joining me on Unleashed. I wanted to have this conversation the minute I saw you tweet that you didn't like it because I wanted to know your perspective and why you didn't like it. And I think you made all valid points. And look, I'm a shill. And I like what I like, and no, I did enjoy it. I don't think it was perfect. However, it was one that I did recommend to people to watch, and most people that I showed it to did enjoy it. But I don't think a lot of them. Look, when you show a non-Star Wars fan a Star Wars trailer, they just want the eye candy and the zings and the zahs, and that's what that trailer delivered on. That's what they got, and I think that's what excited a lot of people. So in that respect, it did its job. But in the respect of convincing Star Wars fans that we're going to get, the ending to a saga, maybe we're not quite there yet.
Yeah, well, I'm glad it pleased you, the mob. So so I'm, us thinkers, we're still waiting, but I'll absolutely go see it, and I'm sure have a great time.
I don't think at all, and you guys watching should not think either. Please give us a like and a subscribe. Hit the little bell. I should have said this off the top. Nobody's watching now. Should have hit the little bell on it, and so you can find all our content, because this is the journey to the rise of Skywalker right here at the Rebel Scum podcast. We're doing this November, December, nonstop videos, nonstop discussions. It's going to be a lot of fun. Christine, thank you so much for joining me on Unleashed, and everyone else, may the force of others be with you.
Hey scumbags, thanks for watching. Don't forget to give us a thumbs up on our video. As always, please subscribe to our YouTube channel, Rebel Scum Podcast, for all the latest videos.